No audience, but I guess this is just the way of the goyim in the modern age of America, and that seems to be spreading because there's goyim all over the world. But yeah, going live again. Got some juicy. I don't know if I'll call it juicy because I was reading through the documents of something that was sent to me that is pretty interesting. Pretty. I don't fully understand it. So towards the end, I'm gonna go over this list of documents that was sent to me, this story that's happening regarding mega churches, geofencing, influencing, and whatnot between Israel and Christian churches all across America. Kind of relates to where I'm at, Tucson, Arizona. There's several Tucson churches that are on this list involved. Uh, so I'm going to save that for last because I don't fully understand it yet, but I'm gonna try to go through it and break it down. I'll save that. But yeah, I don't know. Chud's still. I mean, he's supposed to be appearing on Infowars today with Harrison Smith, I believe, and so that'll be interesting. Everyone is getting worked up about this Spencer Pratt and uh, this election that's going to be in California for the governor position. Spencer Pratt, I get it. Yeah, I forget what reality TV show he was on. Don't really care. He said he was living in an Airstream uh, trailer. Turns out he was paying $1,500 a night to live in Bel Air, the Bel Air hotel, which is not a problem because the reason he decided to run, I guess, was his house was burnt down in the LA fires, the Palisade fires. And so that's what, you know, drove him to entering this race for governor of California. And he was telling people that he's staying with his family now uh, in a air trailer. Turns out he was paying $1,500 a night to stay at the Bel Air hotel. Doesn't really matter. I mean, his house was still burned down nonetheless, but that's a weird lie. I don't really care. I mean, he's coming out with all this shit like fix the homeless, fix immigration, kind of grifting on these goyim talking points. But then he has like messages coming out, private text messages or some type of DM messages. I don't know what they were, talking to someone else about how he's essentially going to be 100% for Israel, no matter what happens. The anti-Semitism needs to decrease was also part of the content of these messages, and that whole sort of thing. So you know it's not really hard to see what's going on with Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass. I get it. It's not anything. It's just a black woman that's gonna do. I mean, that's also retarded. They can't do any better. And Spencer Pratt is giving those good. I mean, so this is essentially what this dynamic between Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass is this election that's going to happen in California that everyone's freaking out about. Like it's like the lesser, obviously lesser of two evils, and the people voting should. I mean, the people voting should be dealt with, or just deal with themselves accordingly. These people are. I mean, I talked about it so many times at this point. It's like if you're still voting, you're such a fucking dipshit. You're just dipshit goyim. But people are going to vote. And what's happening here with Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass in this election is no different than what Trump was to Kamala Harris during their election. It's the same dynamic. You got Kamala Harris using the grift of, black or Indian or whatever the fuck she said she was. She's like, I identify as drunk. But just so like unpopular Kamala was. Also, just a straight retard that locked people up in prison for weed. Intentionally kept them in prisons for their cheap labor, and then went on podcasts and was like, "I'll smoke a joint." You should literally smoke a joint filled with fentanyl. But the dynamic's no different with Pratt and Karen Bass, the black lady that's been running LA for some time now, the one that, went to Africa during the, days before the Palisades fire happened, telling her aides and shit, like, I'm gonna be gone a couple days. She's like, don't worry about nothing. I'm gonna be gone in Africa, days before the Palisades were set on fire with DEWs in an attempt for a land grab, which was successful. But to get back to the dynamic, Spencer Pratt is literally playing the role that Trump played when during the last election between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Was it 2024? So Spencer Pratt is Donald Trump. Karen Bass is no different than the role Kamala played. You got the white grifting male, and I'm not trying to get, I sound like a fucking woke retard right now, but you have the white grifting male that's making good talking points, telling the people what they want to hear, but still comes from money, is in this world of like, not the elitist class Spencer Pratt is, but in this world that no one else that is the majority of the population operates in, but making good talking points like Trump did, who now we see Trump has not, carried out any talking point that he told us he was going to do during the campaign. But that's beside the point right now. I'm sure Spencer Pratt will make this. Spencer Pratt's going to make a lot of good talking points, which will not be carried out in the future if he wins. But yeah, so you have the same dynamic between these two groups of candidates. The 2024 election between Donald Trump and Karen Bass, or not Karen Bass, Kamala Harris. So you have the white male grifting on good talking points versus a dumb retard that no one can bring themselves to even talk to. It is so unpopular. And then you have Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass, which is the same dynamic. This guy is talking about all the things that people want to hear, but he still comes from this elite class that no one else in the majority of the population operates in. And he's running against a fucking retard, no different than Kamala, which is Karen Bass, that has ruined so much. And Kamala was just coming off of her vice presidency, which was, one of the worst administrations the world has ever seen. Not just the US, the world, with Biden. So Karen Bass and Kamala both coming out. This is the same dynamic that's going to play out. So Spencer Pratt wins is the point I'm making. If Spencer Pratt wins, nothing that he says right now is going to be done because he doesn't have the power to do that. He's a cult-like persona that can garner a lot of votes and make people feel like there's some optimism in this. But at the end of the day, the end goal remains the same regardless of who gets elected, because these are puppets being, controlled by their puppet masters. So the end goal doesn't change regardless of who is voted in or who wins the election. The end goal remains the same. It comes down, I think, to who can carry out these goals, this end goal, this ultimate goal of the elitist class faster and more efficiently. So that's why they created a figure like Trump, a cult-like figure that's going to win by a landslide, but when elected, will have the same goal, no different than Kamala Harris had. But the only difference between the two candidates is that Trump is way more efficient and can carry out that goal faster. That's why they created the cult-like figure around Trump. Same thing with Spencer Pratt. Karen Bass is a fucking retard, no different than Kamala. Spencer Pratt has no different end goals than Karen Bass. He doesn't have the power to create his own end goals. Therefore, he's just a persona lying about what he's going to do to create a cult-like following in LA to be elected, and his role will be the more efficient candidate to achieve the end goal of this elitist class. It doesn't change. So all I'm saying is the same dynamic is being played out that was 2024 when Trump told us all these things he was going to do, hasn't done one thing, actually has kind of done the opposite of what he promised to do. And he's achieving the same goal that Kamala would have strove for with her administration, but it's only happening faster because Trump is much more efficient. Same thing is going to happen with this Spencer Pratt, Karen Bass election. He's telling you, Spencer Pratt saying all the things everyone in California wants to hear. But once elected, that power that he thinks, or he might even know, to change anything about California does not reside within Spencer Pratt. It resides within who is above him. Therefore, nothing that he's saying now will get done once he's in. Being a smarter, more cognitive, just a more cognitive person, a smarter person, not a retard like Karen Bass, he can carry out this goal faster. It's the same thing. Now, I might be wrong. It just seems very similar. I guess I made a tweet about it. I think I explained that fine, but I mean, let's see. This is because I responded. It's like James Lee put something out. Let's see. All right, where? All right, so James Lee put something out. Let's see. That it's just a Instagram story from Spencer Pratt, and this is on X, but he posted a screenshot of the story from Pratt, and it's just Spencer June, and it's a AI created image with Spencer Pratt with a shirt that says Pacific Palisades and a heart on it, rolling out a dumpster with Karen Bass and homeless tents in it. Out, it looks like, and in the background of this image that Spencer Pratt posted on his Instagram is people flying Mexican flags and people flying Israel flags with Bibi Netanyahu with his fist up, like Colin Kaepernick 10 years ago. So we know who he's for. That's a weird sign. So it's like no one different is coming in. Someone more efficient and someone that's duping you is coming in. Just like Trump came in to beat Kamala, duped all of us with what he was going to do, and actually created a more efficient administration to carry out a goal that both sides are trying to uh, achieve. So I responded to this and I just said, Spencer Pratt is what Trump was to Kamala, a much more efficient version of the other retarded candidate. The two in each group, Trump Kamala and Pratt Bass, ultimately have the same end goals, but Trump Pratt are the more efficient ones to carry out the end goals, ultimately for their puppet masters. No matter who wins in either, the end goal remains the same. But in each of the two groups, there's a more efficient version that can carry it out much more efficiently. They made Trump a cult-like figure to deceive people, and that led to people willingly voting him in. But there's no difference between him and Kamala besides efficiency. The same thing is being done with the Pratt-Bass dynamic. That's essentially what it is. But people are still like arguing about this and they want to vote. And it's just, I'm going to play this Ari Shaffir clip because Ari Shaffir said this a while ago. I've used this in intros, but Ari Shaffir, like, I like Ari Shaffir. The one Jew that will tell you what's going on is fucked up, but also pretty objective about what's going on, especially when people are coming at like all Jews, and I know I've come at them, but people are really, really coming at me. But Ari Shaffir is like a good person to listen to. One, because he is Jewish, and two, because he's objective. But this is from years and years ago, and I think Ari fucking Shaffir hit this right on the head. And I've used it in intros, but I just think I'm gonna play it again because I think it's a pretty damn good clip.
I don't give a shit. You don't find it a great I really don't care about politics. Of some people material. Do. I don't. I think the system is corrupt. Every time I'm walking on the street, someone's like, "Hey, vote for so and so." I'm like, "It's all corrupt. Anarchy is the only way we're going to change anything. Violence, kill a politician. That's the only way you can change shit."
What? Yeah. I mean, obviously you're joking.
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah, voting is not going to make a difference. It has never. Not in 100 years.
So what would you like to see?
I'd like to see some politicians start getting murdered and reform this government.
Oh my God.
Do one that's not corrupted. I'd like to get business out of government, and they're not going to do it. So the only way to do that is start killing people.
Isn't that exactly what
look around the world? How has anything changed around the world? How has any regime change happen around the world? Violence. That's the only way. You think people in Arab countries are that much different than us?
Yeah.
Violence. That's the only way you depose a system that doesn't represent the people anymore.
I mean, I think the wonderful thing about the United States is that we can vote, and you do change it.
Your vote doesn't go anywhere. Your vote doesn't do anything.
Yes, it does.
You can now be arrested and never tried if they say you're a terrorist. Never tried in your life. Just arrested and held forever. Who voted for that?
So shoot them all.
No, not shoot them all. Start shooting them until they get business out of politics and they start representing who we are instead of their money interests. Yeah, violence. That's the only way shit changes, man.
Okay.
Look at history. Tell me when a regime has changed with voting. I mean, I know.
I'm not trying.
That's not fair because you haven't studied this stuff.
Well, no, I'm not trying to, murder politicians. I'm not trying to do what I don't like that others do that I would like to change. So I will shoot somebody because I'm pissed off that they're shooting somebody else.
Yeah.
It's not the way that I think, but that's fine. We think differently.
I think even if you don't want to shoot somebody, don't vote. Voting is you complicitly saying, I support this system. And I don't support it anymore. I don't. We're killing people in Yemen. We're murdering families in Yemen that aren't associated with any sort of terrorist thing. It was just an oopsie when we killed a wedding party. And Obama, the fucking hope change guy, just refused to comment on it. That's cool. Do what you want. It's not going to change. Your voting is not going to change that. I know one way that it'll change. I can look at history and tell you this is the way things change. Look at whenever a black guy gets shot. It's it's bad. If this is a riot, no one comments on it. Those things go under the radar. When there's a riot in Baltimore, it's hold on, we got to rethink the system here in Baltimore because people went crazy. That's just in history, here and elsewhere. That's the only way shit changes.
All right, we'll agree to disagree on that.
And I guarantee the only thing they're going to show from this clip is Ari Shaffir doesn't say Amy Schumer is the most funny comic in the world.
I don't think much more needs to be even said about that. I think that's hitting the nail right on the head perfectly. I mean, I don't know how much more you could say to that. And if you disagree with that, you don't have to cause the violence, but what else is going to happen? What else is going to change anything that's not violent? I've been saying this with the peaceful protests and the people that got shot, Alex Preddy and fucking Renee Good, the career poet Canadian Dyke, and then Alex Preddy, the fucking dipshit. They shouldn't have been shot and killed, but you're going to something that you think is and this is their quotes, a peaceful protest. How is a fucking peaceful protest? Why even do it? It's a waste of fucking time. Peaceful protests aren't going to change shit. That's a delusion that they give you to make you think that you're actually making a change, some type of passion or meaning to give someone is a peaceful protest. A peaceful protest has zero chance of changing anything. Because you get to protest peacefully and then you go home and get your goy slop and go to bed. Nothing changes the next day. That's why they got shot, because they're so fucking stupid. They thought peaceful protests were something they should attend. Maybe genuinely they thought, but peaceful protests don't change anything. The only thing that can overthrow and change and make any sort of changes are when you overstep the peaceful protest bullshit and you resort to violence. It's the only way. You go in peaceful protest anywhere you want, you're not going to change anything, and you're just going to fucking waste days away screaming into the abyss, no different than the boomers tweeting all day, arguing with bots. All right. But yeah, it's a great clip. All right, I want to see. Let's see how's Chud doing. Actually, you know what? Let's go to Kansas, or is it Kentucky? All right. There's some shit going on. I guess we can talk. I think it's Kentucky where the shit with Thomas Massey's happening, where they're trying to let a Jew APAC receiver, an APAC funds receiver, take over Thomas Massey, the only legitimate, genuine patriot we have in the government at this point, trying to take over his position. Fuck that guy. But we'll go over that. I don't know if I'll go over that, but fuck that guy. You have Miriam Adelson leading the way when Xi Jinping and Trump are walking down the, line of CEOs and executives Trump brought to China, $20 trillion in net worth between all of them. Yeah, I can read the list real quick let's read the list real quick of all the fucking people that Trump brought to China. Miriam Adelson is leading the fucking way as Xi Jinping is shaking these people's hands, kind of, essentially being the middleman between the meeting of all these people. Really weird that Miriam Adelson, the whore Jew that owns all the casinos, her husband was a big part of this. He's dead. Owns all the casinos, stole the Mavericks from Mark Cuban, which I'm not mad about. That's kind of funny. But also gave Trump $250 million. Let's just see who was on this plane with Trump. Who did he decide to bring on this really odd trip? And it's very spooky when you read the list of people that he decided to bring. And one of them was the fucking retard with 90 kids and also 90 companies, Elon Musk, who, just like all of the fabrication behind all the companies he founded, which were not founded by him, all of his kids, beside one, were created by labs and not him as well. So I thought I saved this. I might have not. So God damn it. All right, I can find it. Hold on. Let's just look up who Trump brought to China. Who Trump brought to China? Who Trump brought to China? We were women. All right, so here we go. At the invitation of the Chinese president Xi Jinping, Trump is visiting China from May 13th to the 15th. The first U.S. presidential to visit China. Okay, so this person. I wish people would just fucking, look over their tweets before they just put them out, because you could fix some fucking grammar. So the first U.S. president to visit China in almost 9 years, and Trump's second since November 2017. So this is who he took with him. Elon Musk, obviously Tesla and SpaceX CEO, also Neuralink's CEO and founder, and the Boring Company, the tunnels underground CEO, also Grok's CEO. So it's more than just that. All right, number 2, Jensen Huang. They should send that guy back immediately, especially after this scam where the Chinese informant that was working in our government pled guilty to essentially being a spy. Jensen Huang is number 2 on this list. NVIDIA CEO. Send them back with that last name, please. Number 3, Tim Cook, Apple CEO. Probably gay. Number 4, Larry Fink, BlackRock CEO. That guy needs to be put in Guantanamo, and I mean, I don't even know what to do with Larry Fink. He's so fucking powerful. No, I mean, if Jeffrey Epstein's actually dead, Larry Fink's above him. This guy's calling the shots. Larry Fink. So he came. Steven Schwartzman is number 5, Blackstone CEO, and BlackRock was created by Larry Fink after he had left Blackstone and started his own thing. So those two are kind of hand in hand. BlackRock is just kind of buying everything, and Blackstone is a lot of like real estate. BlackRock and Blackstone are kind of like the Church of Satan with Anton LaVey, who also, as a member, had Michael Aquino, but Michael Aquino kind of broke off and started the Temple of Set. You can compare this to the Larry Fink, Steven Schwartzman, Blackstone, BlackRock relationship. Blackstone is more of like the Church of Satan, where Anton LaVey is running shit. It's not as crazy as what was to become. And so, yeah, you can say Blackstone is like the Church of Satan. Anton LaVey is running that. And Larry Fink was part of it before he broke off from Blackstone and started BlackRock as his own thing, essentially, which you can equate to the Church of Set or the Temple of Set that Michael Aquino started when he broke off from the Church of Satan. No different. Number 6, Kelly Ortberg, Boeing CEO. 7, Brian Sykes, Cargill CEO. Don't know what that is. Number 8, Jane Fraser, Citigroup CEO. Larry Culp, number 9, General Electric CEO. 10, David Solomon, Goldman Sachs CEO. Goldman Sachs was obviously the employer of Jeffrey Epstein after the Dalton School, where there was a whole scandal that he had to resign. Number 11, Sanjay Mehrotra, Micron CEO. With that name, you should be deported. Number 12, Cristiano Amon, Qualcomm CEO. And I don't think this is all of them. This is only 12 people. I also think like the Crisco CEO was there. I think some other credit groups were there. Really weird. Let me see if I can find another list. Just make sure I didn't miss any of them. Oh, yeah, there's 4 more. So where'd we get? We got to, okay, so we got Elon Musk, Tim Cook, Larry Fink, Jensen Huang. So Microsoft's CEO, Satya Nadella was there as well. Mary Barra, chair and CEO of whatever, I don't know what that is, but she was there. Here, I already went over Jane Fraser, the Citigroup, so that's credit. You had Brian, so you had the CEO of Bank America there. Brian, what is this? Brian Moynihan. Howard Lutnick is there. Howard Lutnick should be in fucking prison. That dumb, bald fuck. Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai was there. Chevron's chair and CEO, Michael Wirth, is there. Walmart's CEO is there, Doug McMillon. IBM's chair and CEO is there, Arvind Krishna. Mark Zuckerberg was there. Christopher Kemzinski, CEO of McDonald's, was there. So they left out a lot in that first list. So that's who's there with President Trump visiting this shit. Hilarious, right? Hilarious. I love it. So that's fun. Dope. Nothing can go wrong there, right? Very genuine people. All right, let's see. Oh, and also on this shit with Tulsi Gabbard, like, okay, I don't trust Tulsi Gabbard. I think she's part of the big old club, and if you go watch Coop's, not his latest video, but one of his more recent videos called Cheesy, what is it called? Cheesy Bay? Here, I'll find it right now. Hold on. I think it's called Cheesy Bay, the Forgotten Side of Pizzagate. That he didn't just release it, but it's pretty recent. So, let's see, Coop. It is the episode called, Cheesy Bay, the forgotten side of Pizzagate, 2 weeks ago, where he talks about this Hawaiian farm that was tipped off by an employee there that led, internet journalists to go down some rabbit holes and figure out what was going on with some shit that was exposed on 4chan from this employee. And we find out that this is probably likely linked to Epstein. This is linked to Pizzagate. This is linked to some weird shit. And it's in Hawaii. And everyone should just go watch it. Give Coop the credit. It's a fucking phenomenal video. If I tried to tell you or summarize the whole video, I'll fucking uh I'll butcher the whole thing. Go watch it and just just watch it. There's no way you're gonna come out of watching a Coop video and not thinking a little bit different if you were already hesitant about all this stuff. But there's one thing that he goes over kind of in depth with Tulsi Gabbard in this video about the cult she was in called the Science of Identity in Hawaii. And they're involved in some really weird shit. And the guy that runs it is most likely involved in trafficking and things relating to Epstein, might even be very connected to Epstein. So let's just look it up. Science of Identity. All right, so here's we got all right, so I guess we'll try to read this article. Maybe they'll go into it. This is from Business Insider. So it's weird that they're reporting on something I haven't. It's by Yoonji Han. I mean, they just make up names for these journalists, I think. So the title is Tulsi Gabbard's Ties to the Science of Identity Foundation, a controversial religious sect that some call an abusive cult. Tulsi Gabbard has strong words for anyone who asks about the religious sect she grew up in. God, so I can't read this unless I subscribe. Okay, fuck you. Just go look it up. I mean, can you get anything on this? Okay, so I mean, all right, go just no. I mean, I'm not gonna be paying for subscriptions to read something that has information that isn't new. Fuck that. Just go look up the Science of Identity cult, and that's the cult Tulsi Gabbard was not only linked to, but was in. There's photos of it, her at this cult, like worshiping a shrine of the leader or making some type of sacrifice, putting something on the shrine. Just go watch Coop's video. It's from 2 weeks ago, Cheesy Bay, the forgotten side of Pizzagate. And then watch the rest of his fucking videos. They're all fucking great. Yeah, but I guess we can go into I'm gonna go over whatever's going on today or current, and then let's get into this story that my black trans retard friend sent me today. Kansas monitors 3 for Andy's hantavirus exposure. I also heard there's a article that says alcohol actually is like a repellent to hantavirus. It actually it creates like a repellent effect on the hantavirus. So drinking alcohol actually acts like a vaccine. So I guess the only shots we got to take, bro, we don't have to take fucking mRNA turbo cancer SV40 shots. We can just fucking take some shots at goddamn makers and we're good to go. take a shot of Makers. You do not want the hantavirus. Somehow it's like, it's pretty deadly from what it looks like. It's rare to get it from human to human, but obviously it's bio. It's a geoengineered. It's a bioengineered bioweapon that was, it was tested under gain of function research to be transmissible at a much more efficient rate. So we know it's jumping from people to people because some people like Fauci, maybe even Fauci himself, were running their gain of function shit, making hantavirus more transmissible, knowing it's more deadly than the COVID. Maybe that the COVID was just a pandemic, a test to see what's good. Maybe they release something that's actually deadly. You get people thinking, oh, well, the last one wasn't bad, and people actually start dying. And then people go, well, hantavirus doesn't transmit to people from other people at a frequent rate. It's actually pretty rare to transmit it from person to person. And then you go, well, we know the biolabs were real. We know the gain of function research was real. So maybe they made it pretty good at jumping from person to person. And we know that shit makes your dick smaller by 3 inches. There's an article on that too. But we also know that alcohol kills it. So if you don't want your dick to shrivel by 3 inches permanently, take a couple shots of Makers. All right. So this is 2 hours ago. Just in from leading report. Just in 3 people in Kansas are under observation after exposure to hantavirus. I mean, I love this shit. This is so hilarious. Or you're gonna pay us again? You're gonna print money and pay us again to drink and chill outside, do nothing. Why, the weirdos freak out and go crazy from isolating themselves, from believing that they actually might die from something that's a rare killer among the human species. Let those people freak out again. Let them put on a 4th and 5th mask. Let them get a 4th and 5th booster. Just do the same thing that you did during COVID and let the freaks go crazy again. Drink, take the free money, go outside, chill with your friends, and kind of let it pass over. Let the fucking retards that freak out put their 4th and 5th mask on, why they get 4th and 5th boosters, and let that play out, just like last time. So yeah, Kansas, they got 3 people with hantavirus. Watch out. All right, let's go over this document. So I have no clue what's going on with this document. My friend sent me, my trans black quadriplegic midget friend. It was the fucking creature from the Met Gala the other night. Yeah, they sent me this. My black trans quadriplegic midget friend sent me this link to a series of documents that seem to be a lawsuit against Israel regarding whatever geofencing is. And I told my friend to give me a short summary and then I'll go over the documents, but I'm still kind of confused. But this is the summary. It's literally one sentence. State of Israel influence on U.S. churches using geofencing and other shit. Couple Tucson churches on the list. We're in Tucson, obviously, so that's kind of relatable. But it seems to the churches that this story that I'm going to go over seem to be in Nevada, Arizona, California primarily, and like Utah. I forgot where the other one. There's like 4 states, but I know Arizona, Nevada, and then California being the most of these churches that are affected or influenced or paid off by whatever the fuck we're about to go through. So I pull up these documents and I'll post this in the comments, but it starts off with it looks like a motion or some type of it looks like a motion to start a lawsuit with whatever is going on. I have no clue. So I'll read a little bit. And then there's a PowerPoint at the end of this that I think is going to be what I'm going to go over, because I think the PowerPoint explains what this lawsuit is uh, uh, getting at. So it says received by NSD FARA registration unit on 9/27/2025. So September 27th, 2025 at 3:30. It's 3:29:44 a.m. So that would have been funny if they go 3:30 a.m. I would have been like, all right, it's the Freemasons again. All right, so I'm just gonna read this page, but this just seems like the paperwork you fill out, but I'm gonna read it just cause. And it says U.S. Department of Justice, Washington, D.C. 20530, Exhibit A to registration statement pursuant to the Foreign Agents Registration Act of 1938, as amended. Instructions. Furnish this exhibit for each foreign principal listed in an initial statement and for each additional foreign principal acquired subsequently. The filing of this document requires the payment of a filing fee as set forth in rule whatever. Compliance is accomplished by filing an electronic Exhibit A form. All right, so these are like instructions. It says name of registrant, Show Faith by Works, LLC. Primary address, there's your address. Name of foreign principal, Israel, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Country region represented, Israel, and it says indicate whether the foreign principal is one of the following, and they marked off government of a foreign country. All right, I think I should just go through I'm going to go through this PowerPoint, and this is what this is in regards to, because there's like all sorts of funding documents on here, how many specific churches in each specific state and city are funded, how much, I mean, there's a lot of shit going on. This is all the court documents that it looks like lawyer language. I'm going to go through the PowerPoint that is at the end of it. All right, and it says, all right. Show faith by works, a Christian education and Israeli information campaign. So, okay. Activity. Combat low American evangelical Christian approval of the nation of Israel. Use biblical arguments to highlight the importance of Israel and the Jewish people to Christians. They're attacking the fucking, evangelical, Christian Zionists that are primarily boomers. It says to educate Christians on the historical importance of Israel and its significance in the region. Increase awareness of Palestinian ties to Hamas and support for terrorism within evangelical populations. Counter new and evolving pro-Palestinian messaging as the global narrative shifts. Goals. Use a combination of personal and professional outreach to the Christian community, combined with digital targeting and social media outreach to increase positive associations with the nation of Israel, while linking the Palestinian population with extremist factions. Large-scale Christian outreach and education to individual Christians and to Christian leaders, pastors, and professors. Impressive physical displays of pro-Israel educational materials, comprehensive digital targeting, and heavy geofencing of all Christian churches in select markets. What the fuck is geofencing? Let me just see that real quick. Let's look that up. Should we ask Grok? Should we ask that fucking retard Grok? Let's say, explain geofencing. All right, geofencing is a location-based technology that creates a virtual geographic boundary, a fence, around a real-world physical location. When a mobile device, vehicle, or asset equipped with location services enters or exits this virtual perimeter, the system automatically triggers a predefined action, such as sending a notification, logging an event, or activating automation. Sounds like those pagers. How geofencing works. So define the boundary. A developer or administrator draws a virtual perimeter on a map. This can be a simple circle with a radius. For example, 500 meters around a store, or a complex polygon that follows streets or property lines. Number 2, location tracking. The system continuously or periodically monitors the device's location using GPS, most accurate outdoors, Wi Fi, good for indoor outdoor, cellular signals, triangulation, Bluetooth beacons, or RFID for precise indoor positioning, iBeacon, Apple, or Eddystone, Google for enhanced accuracy. 3, trigger events. When the device crosses the boundary, enter trigger welcome actions, exit trigger goodbye or security alerts, dwell stays inside for a set time, additional actions. The process is usually handled by apps. Operating systems, iOS and Android, have native support or specialized platforms. Common applications. This will be fun. nothing regarding war, I bet, but that's exactly what it's used for. But Grok's gonna give us some goy slop here. So, common applications: marketing and retail, fleet management, security and home automation, parenting and safety apps, social media and gaming, healthcare and delivery services. Shut the fuck up. Technologies and platform: Google geofencing API, Android, core location with geofencing, iOS, enterprise solutions, radar, Foursquare, Airship, geofence.io, etc. Advantages, we don't. So we, okay, so advantages are highly automated in real time, improves user engagement and operational efficiency, works passively in the background on most phones. That's great. Can be combined with other data, time of day, user behavior for smarter triggers, limitations, and concern. Battery drain, constant location tracking uses power, accuracy issues. GPS can be off by 5 to 50 plus meters indoors or in urban canyons. Privacy requires user permission for location access. That's false. They don't give a fuck. Many people disable it due to privacy worries. Many people disable it and, falsely comfort themselves by doing that. They can still activate it. I mean, come on, let's not be fucking dumbasses. Another limitation and concern: false triggers. And lastly, legal/regulatory. Some regions have strict rules on location data usage. I don't know if any. I mean, maybe if you're in like Norway or something. Maybe if you're like a tribe in the fucking Amazon that hasn't been contacted yet. Here's their simple real world examples. Imagine a coffee shop creates a 200-meter geofence. When you walk within a range, the shop's app sends you a notification. Good morning. Get a free muffin with any drink today. That's kind of spooky. Like, why would that happen? Yeah, I would honestly, this is scripted, all jokes aside, but if I got like a text like that, I would unload a clip on a place. Like, why? How do you know? How do you know I was there? That's fucking whack. You deserve a clip. And here's another simple real world example from Grok. If you're a delivery driver for the shop, which means you have like as many face tattoos as Jelly Roll or Post Malone, the system logs your arrival time automatically. Okay. All right, so that's geofencing. To get back to this, so I went over the goals of that. So let's go over the goals one more time. So use a combination of personal and professional outreach to the Christian community, combined with digital targeting and social media outreach to increase positive associations with the nation of Israel while linking the Palestinian population with extremist factions. Large-scale Christian outreach and education to individual Christians and to leaders like pastors and professors. Impressive physical displays of pro-Israel educational materials. Comprehensive digital targeting and heavy geofencing of all Christian churches in select markets. So they want to use geofencing, which I just went over, with Grok, the fucking dipshit. They want to use geofencing. Israel does. They want to geofence all Christian churches in select markets, like the states I said, Arizona, Nevada, California, I forget the other one, and probably anywhere they can. They're primarily, from what it seems, targeting evangelical, which are boomer Christian Zionist people. So messages. The messages they want to send in this operation are pro-Israel. So messages to pastors and Christians about Israel, its history and its people, its biblical significance, its place in the Christian New Testament, and more. Educational messages about the history of Jews in the region before in the creation of the state of Israel in 1948. Damn, 70 years. I know people older than that. That's crazy. Young as fuck. Who'd you steal that country from? Dumbasses. Further, educational messages about the history of the creation of Israel, its legitimacy as a power in the region, and its protection of non-Jewish populations. Nice. The protection of everyone that's not Goyim. Let's go. Education about ongoing activities to protect civilians and maintain moral superiority. Information about democratic freedoms in Israel, including religious and non-religious freedoms. Question the long-standing policy of a two-state solution. Highlight historical coexistence between Jews and Arabs continuing into the creation of Israel and the many concessions made by Israel in exchange for peace, which are zero. Information about the great partnership between Americans and Israelis information about the great partnership between Americans and Israel's internationally. Well, young American men are very unhappy with Israel. Borderlining on the side of like hating this place and the people that are in support of what's going on with this administration. So I don't know if that'll work, but we'll see. And lastly, their last message, Christians in Israel and the birthplace of Jesus Christmas message. That is like, who wrote this? Christians in Israel and the birthplace of Jesus Christmas message. Okay. Wasn't that? I mean, he was born in Bethlehem, right? I have no clue what that even means. Oh, there's a whole nother slide of messages. Anti-Palestinian state is this slide, though. Hamas is a Palestinian terrorist organization. Palestinians elect Hamas's leadership. There was never a state of Palestine at any time in history except before 1948, where the blood of Palestinians probably shows more Jewish blood than the actual, or not Jewish blood, but blood of people that have been there for thousands of years, rather than the Polish people or whatever Europe country they came from to take from the Palestinians. So I'm sure if you looked at the people in Gaza and their blood and their DNA, it'd probably show a much longer history in that region than the warmongers that now inhabit the place called Israel. But they're going to tell you right now, they're trying to spread the message using this geofencing bullshit in churches in America that there was never a state of Palestine at any time in history. Well, did history just start at 1948 then, when Israel was created with guns sent from America, and the groups that went over to take Israel were the first groups labeled with the terrorist label? That's weird, right? So what happened before 1948, before Israel was born? The new Israel that we know of. What happened in 1947 and prior to that? There's no one there? Funny. That's a lie. All right, so here's more messages for the anti-Palestinian state that this operation tends to distribute upon the evangelical boomer retards. Highlight that Palestinian and Iranian goals are not land focused but genocidal. Oh my God. Listen to that. Listen to this. Listen to this statement right here. That is part of the messages slide. And the main message is anti-Palestinian state. The first slide for messages was pro-Israel. The second slide of messages is anti-Palestinian state. And this message says highlight that Palestinian and Iranian goals are not land focused, but genocidal. I hate to laugh, but that is a crazy fucking statement to put in a slideshow, a PowerPoint. All right, they go further. Educate Christians on the history of radical Islam in the region, which was created by probably Israel during the 9/11 bullshit, which they were heavily involved with. Allegedly. Further, highlight Palestinian support for Hamas. Denial of atrocities, celebration of 10/7. Oh, how much funding did Hamas get on for the October 7th attacks from Bibi and his administration? How about that? Further, educate Christians that Palestinians shelter terrorists, built the tunnels for Hamas, hide weapons in their schools and hospitals, and joined in on the attacks on October 7th. Highlight the history of Gaza and wasted opportunities to modernize in favor of conflict and terrorism. Palestinians refuse to recognize the right of Israel to exist as a Jewish state. So does like all of like young American men. You don't have a right. You took it. It wasn't your right to take. Here they go further in their messages, their anti-Palestinian state messages. Hamas is financially dependent on Palestinian supporters. It could not exist without the Palestinian people's support, shelter, and to recruit from. Hamas and the Palestinians have killed many of the American Christian aid workers, distributing food in the region. Hamas and the Palestinians who support it represents radical Islam terrorism that still threatens the U.S. today. Doesn't threaten us, threatens you guys. So themes. I gotta piss real quick. All right, let's go. Let's get going with the themes of geofencing and this whole weird operation that I haven't been aware of. So themes, educational themes, history of Israel, current events, protection of Christians, and minority ties minority ties, rights for all citizens, Israel's support for the U.S. in past conflicts and internationally. Counter Hamas propaganda messaging themes, counter popular and incorrect arguments about aid military targeting the root cause of the conflict and legitimacy to their land claims, pro-Israel government and people themes, how churches can visit the Holy Land, Israel's significant links to Jesus and her faith, which they believe he's if I'm not mistaken, they believe he's burning in like shit in hell, right next to Cheney. So the evangelicals are like, yeah, that lines up. Further, they say Israel, so they want themes of Israel's protection of Christians and Christian groups. And lastly, the themes, hold on. The last themes, which are positive messaging about the traditional friendship between American Christians and the Jewish homeland. It's funny how they say American Christians, the goy slob retards that believe anything they hear because they're so comfortable, so unhealthy, and so fucking dumb that they believe what Jews tell them about their religion. Go ask the people in Lebanon. Say, would you say Lebanese Christians, or would you, when talking about the friendship between them, Lebanese Christians, and the Jewish homeland? Probably not, because you just fucking bombed them for no reason in a ceasefire. But they specifically say American Christians, the Goy Christians in America that are shoving Doritos down their fucking gullet and drive a fucking brand new Tundra. They won't say nothing. I mean, it's crazy. So, I mean, they want a positive message about Israel's participation with the U.S. in the war on terror and Jewish Americans' participation in the U.S. armed services. Well, there's plenty of Jewish Americans in office in America right now, probably most of them. So the grassroots organizing slide. Hire Christian staff in high-density Christian areas, Arizona, Nevada, California, and Denver, Colorado. Physical staff present at Christian colleges, Christian seminaries, churches, and more. Pastoral resource packages with pro-Israel support and educational materials sent to every church in these regions. Build and deploy a top-of-the-line mobile pro-Israel display with October 7th themes to be set up at Christian events. So the pastoral and education resources slide. Pastoral messages to Christian leaders by Christian leaders. 3 to 5 minute video messages and history lessons that can be played to congregations during morning announcements. Videos from a variety of pastors targeting different types of churches. Youth messages for youth pastors and high school groups. Messages for black churches. Messages for black churches, bro. What's good? Catholic targeting by a Hispanic Anglican pastor. Hey, yo, fool. You want to learn about Jesus, bro, from the Jewish perspective, bro? Let me tell you, bro. And then messages in Spanish and other languages by native-speaking pastors towards congregations that speak other languages. I mean, and then here, pastoral resource packages. Pastoral research packages. That's a great little bullet point. Let's see what they have to say about this. Includes maps of Israel showing historical importance and biblical sites, how churches of any size can arrange travel trips to Israel, pro-Israel education materials, including historical information about the 6 million people that died in the Holocaust with zero evidence. About the 250,000, maybe, if we're being generous on the number, should be the real statement. And then information debunking pro-Palestinian popular arguments, which is like all of like the young generation in America. I don't know how they're going to stop that. That's why they bought TikTok, because all of TikTok was the opposite of information debunking pro-Palestinian popular arguments. All of TikTok and pretty much all of social media is the opposite of that. All right, here's the next slide. Christian college activities. Presence on campus at Christian universities and seminaries. So we'll be traveling around with Erica Kirk, the Project Monarch fucking Ramcoa victim. They will hire students part-time to table events and distribute information that we compile. They will deploy the mobile 10/7 trailer at Christian university events. Merch handouts. They're going to have merch handouts of what? It's just going to be a bunch of like boulders and rubble that's just the merch like logo. It's just Gaza. It's just rocks and rubble. And then they're going to connect with professors about education opportunities. There's got to be like maybe 0.5% of professors, because most of them are liberal at the end of the day, that are in support of this. So I don't know what they're going to do with that, unless they're going to put like a Ben Shapiro at the head of every department at every fucking university. They're not going to be able to connect with any professors, maybe like a percent. Jordan Petersons are going to be the types that, go on a fucking crying frenzy and, essentially fall off the face of the earth while his daughter gets fucked by the Tates. and gets a bunch of like Kris Jenner plastic surgery. Michaela Peterson's a fucking joke. All right, next slide. Social media podcast activities. Actually, dude, the next guest on Cultural Swine is going to be one of the ambassadors of the geofencing of American churches. Going to have him on tomorrow. All right, so what are their social media podcast activities? Well, Christian podcasts hosted by prominent Christian leaders. They're going to be like, this is the Daily Wire, ran by Ben Shapiro, the weasel fucking tunnel-dwelling rat that has a sister with huge tits, though. I'll never fail to bring up Ben Shapiro without bringing up his sister's heavies. They're going to sponsor specific messages in pro-Israel podcast on several Christian podcasts. Weekly series updating Christians on pro-Israeli talking points and responding to current events. Podcast focused toward educating pastors and Christian leaders. Christian social media influencers. These are the people that got paid $7,000 to tweet positive things about Israel or come to Israel on a visit to fuck the Wailing Wall to get paid. And it's funny because a lot of them just got duped. Like they didn't even get paid. And I'm sure if they're like, hey, I'm going to demand my payment, BB would be like, I will send a drone to your fucking house right now, you goyim, shut up. So they're going to sponsor pro-Israel messages on popular Christian social media influencers, followed by young Christians who watch Charlie Kirk get fucking got, essentially, in front of the whole world. So it's going to be hard to get those people because they all think that this country, our greatest ally, did it with the goddamn law of microphone. Shout out Rode. Rode microphones should literally use the fucking Charlie Kirk video as a fucking like ad, to be honest. They're gonna counter current pro-Palestinian propaganda with response videos, highlight positive pro-Israeli media. All right, digital support. The largest geofencing and Christian targeting campaign in U.S. history. So geofence and digitally target Christians who attend any U.S. megachurch in our target markets and beyond. Use digital tools to identify and show pro-Israel, anti-Palestinian messaging to U.S. Christians and Catholics in English and Spanish. Why? All of Mexico should be on board with Israel, right? Claudia Sheinbaum's a fucking damn Jew, right? Running the country. They're going to use digital targeting to redirect Christians to website where pro-Israeli media can be found and forwarded. The website will compile pro-Israel pastoral resources, social media posts, and earned and bought media. All right, 10/7, mobile 10/7. So mobile October 7th experience. A mobile setup that visits Christian colleges, churches, and Christian events highlights some of the atrocities from 10/7. The only atrocity is they didn't finish the... I'm joking, don't worry. Shows footage of IDF explaining how they fucked up so bad. No, that's not what it says. Explaining the difficulty of fighting bad guys in hostile territory with civilians. What, fighting paratroopers with fucking guns in the sky? You've never fucking threw a disc out and shot it with a shotgun? You couldn't take them? The IDF couldn't take them? It was so hard to fight the bad guys that they funded? Hilarious. They want to use existing media from the darkness to light museum. VR headset, set prices, full-length TVs for interactive experience. Book different churches each Sunday, different colleges each weekday. Christian events. Traveling team will attend, table, and potentially offer to bring the October 7th experience to major Christian events. Harvest Festival, Anaheim. Annual Southern Baptist Convention meetings, nationwide and statewide. G3 Conference, International Christian Media Conference. Christmas messaging. Israel's gonna try to influence Christmas messaging when they don't even celebrate the fucking holiday, which is why you walk around your neighborhood now and it's completely dark on Christmas because you got Jews surrounding you. But their Christmas messaging is going to be December for the Christmas church, or for the Christian church, is entirely about Christmas. Suggest targeting messages changing, or suggest targeted messaging changes for digital mega churches in December. Israel protects Christians like no other nation in the Middle East. Yeah, besides Lebanon, which you guys bombed. Israel is the birthplace of Jesus. Come see Bethlehem for yourself, which we stole. All right. So this is their Show Faith by Works, detailed budget sheet and planning document. All right. Let's see here. So they got hire, develop, build, guide, manage. Under hire, they say hire significant short-term staff for 4+ months in different states with large Christian population centers. Manage contractors and vendors for all activities. Under develop, they say from Riverside headquarters, develop media materials and messaging that will be impactful to Christians throughout the region. Under the build section, they say regional and state leaders will make contact with Christian churches and colleges, distribute the pastoral resource packages, and attempt to schedule the October 7th experience. The guide section says, manage the pastoral resource podcast, pastoral resource packages, accumulate existing media, and redirect Christians to friendly information sources. And then under manage, it says manage regional team leaders who manage the state leaders, direct vendors, and contractors. All right. Target locations, densely populated Christian communities. So from Southern California based headquarters, generate, distribute, and manage relationships throughout California, Arizona, Nevada, and the greater Denver, Colorado areas. Hire regional teams in California, Arizona, Nevada, and Denver, Colorado to make contact with local churches and schedule informational events and activities. Digital Christian outreach can be redirected to additional markets, but will overlap with grassroots activities. California has 40 million residents and roughly 18 million estimated church-going Christians. Arizona's second largest regions, Phoenix, Tucson, South, and Flagstaff, North. Nevada, Las Vegas, and surrounding cities in the south, and some Reno in the north, and the Denver, Boulder, Colorado Springs, Colorado area. All right. Southern California headquarters, Riverside headquarters. Yeah. All right. And then they want to possibly hire Christian celebrity spokespeople. Chris Pratt, John Voight, Tim Tebow, Stephen Curry, who Stephen Curry is going to be a spokesperson for Christianity when he's on air and on, talk shows and podcasts talking about his, full support of abortion when he has a daughter. Yeah, I'm sure he can be a spokesperson for fucking Christianity. Fuck Steph Curry. Clayton Kershaw, Pastor Mark Driscoll, Pastor Rick Warren, Pastor Greg Laurie, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's so funny. So that's that. That's a whole operation I didn't know about. That's happening at all the big mega churches, all evangelical churches, all, targeted essentially at any Christian church in the U.S., specifically Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, California, that Israel is running. And this operation is current. It's been intact for a while, it seems. And, well, that's why you see the boomers, who are these evangelicals, usually, that are also what you could label Christian Zionists, saying what they say. This is the reason for it, maybe. And I don't think they're going to get any young people, any young generational people, especially white young men or military age men in America. But they can try. But I think they've already lost that popularity contest. That's it though. Peace.